everyone. Welcome back to the Incredible India podcast series. I'm Sam.
And I'm Taylor.
So today we're doing something a little different. Usually we take a big abstract topic and try to sort of whittle it down.
Right.
But today we have this very specific document in front of us, and at first glance, it just looks like a standard travel brochure.
It really does, doesn't it? Glossy photos, bullet points.
Exactly. But once you start reading, you realize it's actually a very, very carefully constructed roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at a 7-day itinerary for the Golden Triangle Tour. The catch is, this one is specifically updated for travelers in 2026.
And when I first heard Golden Triangle, Delhi, Agra, Jaipur, my mind went straight to the classic tourist trail.
Same here. Tour buses, crowded souvenir shops.
But the way this source frames it,
Yeah.
it feels less like a vacation and more like a time machine. That's the mission of this deep dive, really.
Yeah.
It's to unpack why this route is described as a compressed timeline of civilization.
Compressed timeline of civilization. That is a pretty heavy title for a one-week trip.
It is, but it earns it. You're not just moving between three cities. You're moving chronologically through the Mughal Empire, the Rajput kingdoms, and then the colonial period.
And this 2026 guide seems unique because it balances those huge UNESCO monuments with what it calls living traditions.
Exactly. Plus, it really leans into new infrastructure, which is a game changer. But let's start with the basics. For anyone listening, what exactly is this triangle?
Right, geographically.
Geographically, it connects Delhi up north, Agra to the southeast, and then Jaipur to the southwest.
Okay.
But the narrative arc connects power, art, and science. You have Delhi as the political heart, Agra as the Mughal capital, and Jaipur representing that Rajput royal heritage.
So you're tracing the story of how the subcontinent was shaped.
You got
Good.
it. And that brings us to the why now question. Why is the source flagging 2026 specifically?
Yeah, I noticed that. It talks a lot about logistics, which, isn't always the most exciting part of travel.
No, but here it's actually transformative. I mean, if you traveled this region 10 or even 5 years ago, it could be, unpredictable.
A lot of friction.
A lot of friction, yeah. But this guide highlights new expressways and these fast trains connecting the three cities.
You're talking about the Vande Farat trains, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Semi-high-speed trains. They've totally changed the travel time calculation. What used to be a 6-hour slog is now a smooth, 3-hour ride.
Less time in traffic, more time actually seeing things.
And less stress. But it's not just the hardware. It's the digital side, too. They're rolling out digital ticketing and timed entry slots at the monuments.
Oh, that is huge. Nobody wants to stand in a 3-hour queue in the sun.
Right. And with time slots, the itinerary can push for visits at what it calls atmospheric hours. Think sunrise or sunset. You just scan your phone and walk in.
Sounds much more civilized. Now, the source is pretty insistent on the duration. I feel like a lot of people try to rush this in, 3 or 4 days?
They do, and they burn out. The source warns against that. It says shorter trips just reduce these cities to photo stops.
You get out, snap a selfie, get back in the car.
Exactly. You don't actually see anything. They say 7 days is the minimum for, and I love this phrase, cultural absorption without fatigue.
Cultural absorption without fatigue. I need that on a t-shirt.
We all do. But it's true. You need the downtime to actually process everything.
Okay, so let's get into the journey. Day 1, we land in Delhi.
And we are diving straight into the deep end, Old Delhi. Shah Jahanabad.
The guide describes it as a total sensory experience. Narrow lanes, spice markets. Sounds intense.
It is intense.
Yeah.
In the best way. But here's an interesting bit from the source. Anthropologists see these markets as living museums.
Living museums, what does that mean?
It means they're not just for tourists. They're preserving trade practices that were described in, medieval Persian travelogues.
No way.
Yeah. When you walk through the spice market, Kari Bali, you are seeing commerce happen almost the same way it did 400 years ago. It's an unbroken lineage.
That gives it a totally different weight. And speaking of which, we have to talk about the food recommendation.
The pro tip?
Yes. Paratha from Parantha Wali Gali. The lane of flatbreads. And get this, it's a tradition that started in 1872.
That's older than the Eiffel Tower.
It's wild. So you're literally eating history. And these are the stuffed, deep-fried kind, right?
Oh, yeah. Potatoes, nuts, lentils, heavy, delicious food for the merchants working all day.
Okay, so day 1 is flavor and chaos. Then day 2, a complete shift.
We move from the medieval maze to the wide imperial avenues of New Delhi, the colonial layer, India Gate, Rashtrapati Bhavan, all geometry and power.
Very distinct. But the source really focuses on the aha moment at the Qutb Minar.
The big tower.
The big tower, yes. But it's so much more. It's a 12th century victory tower, and the engineering. The source says structural analyses show its tapering design distributes weight so well that it's withstood centuries of earthquakes.
Oh, wait, so they had earthquake-resistant engineering in the 12th century.
Effectively, yeah. It's a masterclass in masonry. Delhi is in a seismic zone. A straight tower that high would have toppled ages ago.
It just completely changes how you look at it. It's not just a monument to power, it's a monument to advanced physics.
Right. Okay, so we're moving on. Days 3 and 4. We leave Delhi, hop on that new expressway, and head to Agra.
Home of the Taj Mahal.
Obviously, we've all seen the pictures, but does the source give us a fresh angle, or is it just, go look at the pretty building?
It does. It moves past the symbol of love story, which is true, but it focuses on the mathematical precision.
Again with math.
Always with the math. Scholars have found these perfect symmetrical ratios throughout the structure. It's not just pretty, it's geometrically perfect.
Is it true that the minarets, the towers, lean slightly?
Yes, and that's another bit of genius engineering. They lean slightly outward. It's almost invisible to the naked eye.
Why, though?
2 reasons. One is for optical perspective, so they don't look like they're falling inward. But the main reason is safety. If there's a massive earthquake, they're designed to fall away from the main tomb.
That is incredible foresight.
It is. Now, to see this perfection, the guide has a very specific tip.
Sunrise. 4:30 a.m. entry.
It sounds painful, I know. Getting up at 3:30 on vacation?
Huh?
But the source is insistent. It's because the building is made of translucent white marble. At sunrise, the stone just comes alive with the light. It goes from gray to pink to gold.
And fewer crowds, I imagine.
Way fewer. You can actually breathe.
I think I can manage 4:30 a.m. for that. We also see Agra Fort, right?
Yep. Military stronghold and a palace. It gives you the other side of Mughal life, not just where they were buried, but where they lived and ruled.
Okay, day 4. We're back on the road heading to Jaipur, but there's a stop at a place called Fatehpur Sikri.
This is one of my favorite parts of the whole itinerary.
Really, it's often just listed as a ghost city.
It is a ghost city, but it was a perfectly planned ghost city, built by Emperor Akbar to be his utopian capital. The source highlights that it's a model of early urban planning. They had zoning, water management systems.
In the 16th century.
In the 16th century. It shows they were thinking about how a population actually survives in an arid environment.
So why is it a ghost city now? What went wrong?
For all the brilliant planning, the local water table just couldn't support the population. They had to abandon it after only about 14 years.
Wow. All that work?
It's tragic, but because it was abandoned so quickly, it's perfectly preserved. It's a time capsule of Akbar's vision.
So we leave this planned city of the Mughals and arrive in the pink city of the Rajputs. Jaipur.
Jaipur.
First question. Why is it pink?
Good question. It wasn't always. The source says it was painted this terracotta pink color in 1876.
That's so specific.
It was to welcome the Prince of Wales, who later became King Edward VII. Pink is the traditional color of hospitality in Rajasthan.
They painted the whole city.
The whole walled city. And to this day, it's law. The buildings in the old city have to be maintained in that color.
That is some serious commitment to hosting. So day 5, we get back to this idea of the science of heritage.
Yes, and this is the part that might surprise people. You think of Jaipur, you think palaces, elephants.
Right. Not astronomy.
But you should. The itinerary highlights the Jantar Mantar. It's an astronomical complex.
Looking at the pictures, it looks like a modern sculpture park.
It does. But those sculptures are actually massive analog instruments built in the 1700s to measure time and celestial positions with insane accuracy.
How accurate?
The giant sundial, which is 27 meters tall, can tell the local time to an accuracy of 2 seconds.
2 seconds just from a shadow.
Just a shadow. The sheer scale allows for that precision. It's mind-blowing.
And speaking of clever design, let's talk about the Hawa Mahal, the Palace of Winds.
That famous facade with all the little windows.
Yeah, I always thought that was just so the royal women could look out without being seen.
That's one part of it, for sure. But the source points out it's a passive cooling system.
Like pre-modern air conditioning.
Essentially, yes. The 953 lattice windows are designed to channel cool air through the building, using something called the Venturi effect. The breeze is naturally cooled by the architecture itself.
So while we're blasting AC in 2026, they had this figured out hundreds of years ago with just wind and stone.
Exactly. Sustainable architecture before it was a buzzword.
I love that. Okay, day 6. We've seen the buildings, the science. Now the itinerary shifts to living heritage.
This is where we move from monuments to people. The guide suggests visiting textile workshops.
It recommends a block printing workshop specifically.
That's a 2-hour one.
Yeah.
And the context here is key. These crafts often follow hereditary guild systems.
So the person teaching you didn't just pick it up last week?
No. These techniques, the knowledge of natural dyes, the right pressure for the block, it's all passed down through generations. You're engaging with a lineage of knowledge.
That feels like such a meaningful way to end. You start with the grand history of empires and end with the personal history of a family craft.
It grounds the whole experience. Culture isn't just dead stones, it's living people.
Okay, let's get practical. Let's talk about the reality of doing this in 2026. Costs.
The source gives a good breakdown, and there's quite a range.
Let's hear it.
For a budget traveler, they estimate about 45,000 rupees per person. That's a shared car and 3-star hotels.
That's actually pretty accessible for a 7-day trip.
Totally. Then for mid-range, it's 75,000 rupees. That gets you a private car and 4-star heritage hotels.
The old mansions, the Havelis.
Exactly. Staying in a piece of history. And then for luxury, it's 1.5 lakh rupees and up.
That's the 5-star Oberoi Taj-level experience.
Full white glove service.
Good to know. And when should we go?
The window is October through March.
Okay.
The temperature is perfect then, like 8 to 28 Celsius. The source says, and I'm quoting here, avoid the summer.
How hot we talking?
40 to 45 degrees Celsius.
Oof.
Nope.
Not for me.
Not for anyone, really. And monsoon is July to September, which can be tricky. So stick to the winter.
And packing. What are the must-haves?
Number 1, comfortable walking shoes. Seriously. They estimate you'll walk 5 to 8 kilometers a day on uneven stone.
Wow. Okay. So no heels.
Definitely not. Also, modest clothes, a shawl for temples, and some cash, small notes, for the markets.
Right. For the 1872 Paratha.
Exactly. You can't always tap your card for that.
So we've unpacked the whole itinerary. When you step back and look at this deep dive, what's the big takeaway?
You know, it comes back to that compressed timeline idea. This itinerary forces you to see these monuments as evidence.
Evidence of what?
Evidence of sophistication,
Yeah.
of ingenuity, earthquake resistance in the 12th century, passive cooling in the 18th, urban planning in the 16th. It's not just a story of dynasties, it's a story of how they solved problems.
I love that. It's a journey through human ingenuity.
Exactly. And the fact that we can do it now with fast trains and digital tickets just removes the friction so you can focus on the wonder.
Well, I'm definitely ready to book a ticket. It sounds like an incredible journey.
It really does.
And we want to leave all of you with one final thought. When you look at a building like the Hawa Mahal, don't just ask who built it. Ask how does it work? The answer might just surprise you.
Absolutely.
If you decide to travel to India, we have a recommendation. 5 Senses Tours organizes tours across India, which are immersive cultural experiences.
You can email contact@fivesensestours.com. Note 5 is written as a numeral in contact at fivesensestours.com.
Or WhatsApp 2+ 919-845-677-446.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you next time.